The Atlanta Braves finished off a two-game sweep of the Oakland Athletics in Oakland on Wednesday with a 7-3 win. Thanks to another great performance from Spencer Strider, who bounced back from a rough first inning and went on to pitch six, followed in for the Atlanta Braves, too. Offense finally got going late in the game, got a couple of big home runs from there, and the Troublemakers just keep getting it done. We'll talk about all that on today's episode of Lockedon Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we're covering your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jake Mastroianni. You can follow me on Twitter at shortstopball. Check out my bio there to see where I am covering the game of baseball, including your Atlanta Braves in written form over at tomahawktake.com, where I've been the co-editor for several years over there. Also, make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. Send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube as well. Hit that thumbs up button and that notification bells. It does help support the show a ton when you do that. And thanks for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. We post episodes daily, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and are free and available on all platforms. Today's episode is brought to you by Vroom. With Vroom, you can buy a car entirely online and have it delivered straight to you, so you never have to go to a dealership again. So next time you need to buy a car, just grab your phone, go to vroom.com, and check out thousands of great cars. On today's episode, going to be recapping Wednesday's 7-3 win over the Oakland Athletics, a two-game sweep in Oakland. The Braves' seventh win in a row. We'll talk about that. Spencer Strider's performance, the offense breaking out late in the game. We'll talk about how they've been doing in late innings this year. Talk about the Troublemakers, Vaughn Griswold, Michael Harris, who are off to great starts in September. And we'll talk about the offense as well, what they were able to do. Talk about some news as well, some injury news for Huascar Ynoa. And again, we're going to talk about the late innings performances by the Atlanta Braves, which is very key heading into the postseason. But let's start with that Wednesday game. Again, a 7-3 win over the A's. Again, 7 straight wins for the Braves. And this is what I love so much about this Braves team. Talk about it all the time. They had 3 really rough games. You go back to that Cardinals series, they blow a couple of late leads there. Then they come home, lose that first game to the Rockies with your ace on the mound. And you're thinking, are the Braves about to go on a bad run? And they turn around and win 7 in a row, get to a point where they're tied with the Mets in the NL East. And it's just incredible to see what this team just constantly does. They have a bad performance or two. They respond and come right back and play winning baseball. And that's what great teams do. The Mets, unfortunately, did sweep a doubleheader against the Pirates on Wednesdays. They had Chris Bassett and Jacob deGrom going, their 2 best pitchers right now, with Max Scherzer on the IL. And so the Mets do go back in front in the NL East by half a game. But Braves are right there, and this has kind of been my point all along with the NL East race down the stretch. The schedules being what they are in September, if the Braves can get to that 3-game series against the Mets late in September, within 2-3 games of the Mets, you at least give yourself a chance. At that point, you'd probably have to sweep the series to really make an impact. But I think that's as much as you can ask for as a Braves fan when you look at the schedules both teams have. Unless other teams are going to keep helping out the Braves as the Nationals did and as the Pirates did, winning one of those games, I just don't think you can expect that. I don't see many series losses for the Mets the rest of the way as long as they play like they have all year long. So in order for the Braves to catch them, they're going to have to win every series. They're going to have to sweep a couple of series like they've done recently in order to stay right there with the Mets and, again, give themselves a chance when that 3-game series comes around. But Braves are doing all they can right now, and sweeping 2 games over the A's is certainly part of that plan. Now, getting into Wednesday's game and Spencer Strider's performance, His final line, it looks like a typical Spencer Strider performance. 6 innings, just 2 hits, did have 3 walks, gave up 2 earned runs and 9 strikeouts. I mean, that's what we've come to expect from Spencer Strider, but it's how he got there that it makes this start so remarkable and incredible. And we talked about it a lot on the postcast. I use a lot of those same adjectives. He had a 36 pitch first inning. He almost got pulled in the first inning. And to be able to bounce back from that and give you what we've come to expect from Spencer Strider is just truly remarkable. And I'll take you back through that first inning. He went 3-2 on the first 3 batters of the game, walked 2 of them, and got the other to line out for a hard out. So 3 batters in, he's already gone full on all 3 batters. He's walked 2 of them, gotten 1 out. Then he gave up a double to Stephen Vogt, which made it a 1-0 A's lead in the first inning. And then he got a hard hit ground out. Luckily, it went right to Dansby. That made it 2-0. Then he went 3-2 on Jonah Bride and walked him. And that's when you really started thinking, okay, is he going to get pulled here? One more hit, and it's a potential that Spencer Strider's gone in less than an inning. Luckily, he strikes out the next batter. He's able to escape. But again, a 36-pitch inning. Jackson Stevens was up in the bullpen, and luckily Spencer Strider was able to escape. Thought he was still a little erratic in the second inning, but still retired the side in order, and after that was just completely dominant. Retired 15 in a row, counting the last batter of the first inning, and retired 16 of the last 17 batters he faced. So not only did he rebound from a rough first inning, he was just completely dominant. Again, the Spencer Strider that we're used to seeing. And so I talked about this on the postcast as well. It's truly amazing that a young pitcher, his first full season, is able to adjust like that in the middle of the game. Something was off, whatever it was. Release point, having trouble with the landing spot on the mound. You saw Kyle Wright kind of barking at that on Tuesday. Whatever it was, he was able to make that adjustment mid-game and just completely dominate the rest of the way. I can't say enough good things about the start from Spencer Strider on Wednesday. His 10th win of the year, he moves to 183 strikeouts in 120 and two-thirds innings. I wrote an article about this over at tomahawktake.com. You want to go check that out. But Spencer Strider has the possibility to really do some historic stuff with the strikeout numbers. If he gets 17 more strikeouts over the next 10 innings, which is a tall task, he could become the fastest pitcher ever to reach 200 strikeouts in a season. Randy Johnson has that record at 130 and two-thirds innings. So either way, over his next 2 starts, he's likely to reach 200 strikeouts. And when he does, he's going to get there, be one of the fastest ones to ever reach that mark in a season. So just truly incredible stuff what he's doing with the strikeout numbers. A K per 9 of 13.5, which is the best in all of baseball. Pitchers over 120 innings. So it's just truly remarkable how dominant he's been. Threw 103 pitches on Wednesday, got 46 swings, 19 of them were swings and misses, and also got 18 called strikes. A 90.8 mile per hour average exit velocity. That's good for somebody who throws as hard as he does. 4 of 11 balls in play were hit hard. Again, a couple of those coming in that first inning. Again, the word I wrote down here in my notes is just remarkable. I don't know what else I can say about Spencer Strider at this point. Again, I know he's in tough competition with Michael Harris. I mention it every time Spencer Strider pitches. I don't know how you go against what this guy is doing for NL Rookie of the Year. He's doing historic stuff we've never seen. But Michael Harris, who we're going to talk about in a minute, he has been just as good, and he plays every day. So, again, I'm hoping somehow they give co-Rookie of the Years because both guys really deserve it. And just finishing things off real quickly, the bullpen, McHugh, Matzik, Iglesias finished the game off the last 3 innings. I wanted to mention Matzik. Gave up a solo home run in the 8th inning of this game. Obviously a blowout, so it's kind of non-significant, which is when you love to see relievers give up runs when it doesn't really matter. It was the first run allowed by Tyler Matzik in a month. He hadn't given up a run since August the 7th. He's only had 1 full clean inning over that span, but just 2 walks in his last 10 appearances, both of those coming in the same game, and no walks in his last 8 outings. So he's been really good. He's not the dominant Tyler Matzik we saw last year, and I certainly am not saying they need to rely on him in big situations, 1-run games in 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. I think you could go to him if you needed to. I do think, and we talked about this the other day, with Dylan Lee losing some of that trust, I think Tyler Matzik is the guy you need to be bringing in those spots where you've been bringing in Dylan Lee lately. Tyler Matzik, again, not as dominant. The K per nine, not where we're used to seeing, but still effective, still getting batters out. He's been really good since coming back from the IL. And over the last month, especially, he's been really great. So I think he's somebody that Brian Snitker maybe needs to rely on, trust a little bit more in those middle innings in a close ball game. And Tyler Matzik certainly has earned it. All right, next I want to talk about the offense. Some big home runs from Vaughn Grissom and Dansby Swanson, and those troublemakers off to a great start in September. We'll talk about that next.
Winding down, the nights are getting longer, but the breeze isn't the only thing that's getting stiff. That's right, this episode is sponsored by BlueChew. Guys, we all know that confidence can take you far in life, and it's especially true in the bedroom when it's time to step up to the plate. That's where BlueChew comes in. BlueChew is a unique service online that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready when the opportunity arises. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. With BlueChew, men everywhere are excited to see the postman because when your package arrives, your package arrives. Go to BlueChew.com and use the promo code LOCKEDON to get a free month's supply and just pay $5 in shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code LOCKEDON for your first month for free.
It took a little while, but the Braves offense finally got going on Wednesday afternoon. They eventually scored 7 runs, had another 10-hit performance, a double-digit hit performance, 1 walk, just 5 strikeouts, 3 for 6 with runners in scoring position. They've done a great job lately of taking advantage when they've had runners in scoring position, and just 6 left on base, 3 extra base hits, a double, and 2 homers. Riley and Olsen were the only starters to go hitless in this game, and it's just, again, talks about the depth of this lineup when your number 3 and 4 hitters go hitless and you still score 7 runs and get 10 hits. This lineup, when it's going top to bottom, is just so deadly. They couldn't get anything going against Waldichuk in the first 4 innings. I talked about it yesterday. Good numbers for Waldichuk in the minors. I think he could become a pretty good little pitcher. The Rays couldn't do anything against him first couple of times through the order. And then, boom, all of a sudden, the 2 in the 5th inning, 1 in the 6th, 4 in the 7th. Those add-on runs, so big. We've talked about that a lot this year. They've done a much better job of that lately. But it's just the explosiveness of this offense and what they can do. And I was watching MLB Central the other day, and Tom Verducci was on there, and they were talking about the team that poses the biggest threat to the Dodgers. And he said it was the Braves because of their home run potential. And we saw that last year in the postseason. I mean, look at the way the Braves scored a lot of times. They had a lot of big home runs. And in the postseason, it's even harder to string hits together, to get walks and string some singles in there to score runs and manufacture runs. It's that team here lately that can all of a sudden just hang a 2 spot on you or get a big 3-run homer, with runners on base, and you have a lineup 1 through 9 that can go deep. That is the biggest threat to any team in the postseason, that at any moment a team can flip the game, can make a 2-run deficit a tie game, or a 1-run deficit. You take a lead on a multi-run homer, and that's exactly what the Braves can do, and it's why they are such a threat in the postseason. I know I talk about the strikeouts all the time and their inability to sometimes manufacture runs when the home runs aren't coming, and that's certainly part of it, but it's also what makes this offense so dangerous. And when they're clicking, and again, 1 through 9, you can go deep. That's what makes them so dangerous, especially in the postseason, when they can put a crooked number up on you really quickly. And that's exactly what happened on Wednesday. Again, Waldichuk cruising through 4 innings. All of a sudden, he hits Travis d'Arnaud. Vaughn Grissom comes up, jumps on the first pitch, a beautiful opposite field home run to right center. to tie the game up. And that's what I'm talking about. Just like that, you hit a batter, next pitch is a 2-run homer, and it's a tie ball game. That's what makes the Braves so dangerous, makes their offense so dangerous. And then Dansby Swanson in the sixth inning fell behind 1-2 in the count, fouled off a good pitch, and then took a couple of pitches for balls to work the count full, and then took a 96 mile per hour fastball up and in and just destroyed it out to left field for the go ahead home run. I thought that was an incredible at bat by him, 106.2 miles per hour off the bat, traveled 392 feet, but I honestly thought it went a lot further than that. But just an incredible bat by Dansby. And again, just like that, Braves tie it. Braves take the lead on a couple of home runs. The game went on to be, a bit of a blowout, but those two swings really changed the momentum of the game. It looked like the Braves were going to struggle to get anything going. And then, bam, all of a sudden, a couple of home runs, they're in the lead, and then they end up running away from it. And I wanted to talk about the Troublemakers a little bit. Vaughn Grissom and Michael Harris, they continue to do great things. Michael Harris had 2 hits on Wednesday, extends his hitting streak to 14 games after a great August where, he was just incredible. He's off to a fantastic start in September as well. He already has 4 multi-hit games in the month of September. And he and Vaughn Grissom both are off to great starts in September. Through the first week of the month, the Troublemakers are combined 21 for 45 at the plate. That's a 466 average with 3 doubles and 4 home runs. So they just continue to impress. They continue to make adjustments. We've seen Michael Harris kind of go through his stretch where, he was hot early, then kind of cooled off, and now he's kind of made some adjustments and is hot again. We've seen Vaughn Grissom, his first 2 or 3 weeks was you couldn't get him out. And then he has a little bit of a lull, and now he seems to be making the adjustments and is back on it again. We've seen that opposite field approach from him pay off, reach base 7 times in this 2-game set in Oakland. So those 2 young kids get it going. The question that I have, that a lot of you have, and I've had some of you ask this question, which we don't know the answer to, but how will they respond in the postseason? They've obviously done great in the regular season. They've coming up and they've, have look like they have all the confidence in the world, but postseason's a different animal, and you're going to be facing a team's best pitchers every single day. How will they respond to that? We don't know. Again, all I can go off is what I see now, and there seems to be no lack of confidence in either of these guys' games, especially not Spencer Strider either on the pitching side of things. So that's going to be, a big question mark until we actually see it, because these 3, Strider, Grissom, and Harris, have become a big part of the Braves' success, and certainly they'll be needed in the postseason. But we don't know how they're going to respond to that pressure, how they may respond to an over 4 or 3 strikeout game. How do they come back the next day? That will be something big to monitor as the Braves get into the postseason. But what we've seen so far, nothing's really slowing them down. They've done a great job making adjustments. Again, they play with a ton of confidence and love for the game. So interested to see how that works out, and certainly can't wait to see all 3 of them in the postseason. All right, next I want to give you some update on some news. Huascar Ynoa, the rehab assignment for Ozzie Albies, and talk about the Braves in the late innings, how exactly they've been getting it done. We'll discuss that next. Came as a bit of a surprise with some news on Wednesday. Huascar Ynoa, who hadn't pitched in a little while for the Atlanta Braves, it was announced by the team, who broke the news, as they often do, that he had Tommy John surgery. Again, I had heard no hints that he was injured, that this was something he was thinking about, but turns out he's already had successful surgery, so he will be out for all of 2023, maybe some of 2024 as well. So hate to hear that for Huascar Ynoa. Obviously, was huge for the Atlanta Braves in the first half of the 2021 season. Punched that wall in Milwaukee, and was really, had a couple of good starts after coming back from that. But in September last year, just completely fell apart, was a non-factor in the postseason. Had a couple of starts at the beginning of this year, didn't go well, and honestly just hasn't had a great season for Gwinnett either. Maybe, the elbow injury had a little something to do with that, but either way, He's having Tommy John surgery, so he'll be out for all of next year. We'll see what the future holds for Huascar Ynoa. Certainly wish the best for him. Ozzie Albies finally got to continue his rehab assignment on Wednesday. Gwinnett's had several rainouts over the last couple of days. Ozzie goes 1 for 5 with 3 strikeouts on Wednesday. He's now 3 for 12 in his rehab with no walks, 4 strikeouts in 3 games. It's crazy to say this, but there's no need to rush Ozzie Albies back right now with the way Vaughn Grissom is playing, and honestly with the way Marcell Ozuna has been hitting since rejoining the lineup in left field. There's no rush to bring Ozzie Albies back. Let him continue to play, get some at bats, hopefully, get back to his normal self, and then come up, when the Braves need him. He's going to be that guy. If anything, he's bringing you great defense at second base, and then we know what he can do when he's fully back with the bat. But it's just crazy right now. The Braves have an all-star second baseman rehabbing, and there's just really, you feel like there's no rush to bring him back. And that's just the way this Braves offense, this Braves lineup is built right now. There's just not a lot of weaknesses in that lineup. Some injury news for the Mets. I mentioned Max Scherzer on the IL. Starling Marte has fractured a finger in his day-to-day. The Mets say he's going to just try to play through it. But certainly that's a big blow for them. We'll see how that affects Starling Marte down the stretch. I wanted to end talking about the late innings for the Atlanta Braves. Kind of had this question or comment rather sent to me on Twitter. Again, any questions, comments, feedback you have for the podcast, make sure you tag us at @LockedOn_Braves. But it seems like the Braves have been better in the late innings, especially in the second half of the season. Now, these stats I'm about to give you, these are for the totality of 2022. So they're not great. But you look at the 7th inning, the Braves are 6th in OPS at 744. You look at the 8th inning, they're 5th in home runs with 20, but just 15th in OPS. And in the 9th inning, they're 9th in OPS at 706, 12th in home runs. So the overall numbers won't tell you the Braves are great late innings. Again, I think they've done a better job in the second half of adding on runs late in those 7th, 8th innings in particular. 7th inning, they've been really good. Like I said, 6th in OPS, 2nd most runs scored in the 7th inning. But when you break it down inning by inning, it's really those middle innings where the Braves are feasting. And that's kind of what just my eye test has seen from what I remember from a lot of these Braves games. It seems like they'll struggle sometimes first, 2nd inning, 3rd inning. And then once they've seen a pitcher a 2nd or 3rd time, that's when they really start to take off. And in the 5th inning, they are first in all of baseball in home runs with 35. They're first in OPS at 851 and have the 3rd most runs scored in the 5th inning. So the numbers kind of bear that out as well. And you look at this Braves offense this year, what they've really done a great job of is adjusting at bat to at bat from the same pitcher. Now that scares me a little bit in the postseason where you may go a whole game and see a different pitcher every time up. You may have a starter that's just going 5 innings and then you're going to your best relievers in the bullpen. But the Braves have done a great job adjusting it bat to bat. And you've seen, the longer a pitcher is out there, that 5th inning, 6th inning, that's when the offense can really start to take off and put up a crooked number, especially with those home runs as we've seen and as we saw on Wednesday. I think kind of bears that out as well. That will do it for this episode of Lockedon Braves. Thanks for making Lockedon Braves your first listen of the day. We'll be back tomorrow answering your questions. It'll be a Mailbag Friday podcast with the off day on Thursday, so make sure you send in any questions. Again, thanks for making Lockedon Braves your first listen every day. Now make your second listen the Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022. That starts tonight, I believe. Not a huge NFL guy, but it is an 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NFL season. The local team experts of the Locked On Podcast Network, plus a betting angle from Lee Sterling of Locked On Bets, all combining into the ultimate NFL preview show. Search for Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Again, thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at @LockedOn_Braves. Follow me at @ShortstopBall. Also, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we'll talk to you next time.